I'm Mac. Welcome back to my channel. As always, don't forget to like and subscribe and consider joining my Patreon for access to new videos 12 to 24 hours early, as well as some Patreon exclusive content. Welcome back to Mac Attack, the only YouTube channel where the background is slowly but surely becoming more and more plants. Eventually, it's just going to be plants in the shot. So I was looking at potentially doing a part 3 of Tom Bilyeu's little thing. But then I saw that Dave Hollis, who is also our favorite self-help guru, amazing addiction recovery expert, has done actually an interview on his podcast with Lisa Bilyeu. That's Tom Bilyeu's wife. So, I mean, she must have amazing things to say. I'm sure just even being in Tom's orbit makes you just an incredible Matrix revolutionary, super fighter on virtual platforms or whatever the hell. Let's go. Oh, also a couple of notes. My neighbors upstairs are, I don't know, they're doing something incredibly loud, and it involves apparently dropping anvils on the floor or something. So if you hear that, that's what that is. I can't keep cutting it out. And also it's extremely windy in Utah today because it's Utah. So if you hear that, I don't know what to tell you. I can't stop the wind. God damn it. Also, enjoy this video being in glorious 60 frames per second. That's double the number of frames you get of me normally. I had to do that because I needed the shutter speed to be...
You want your shutter speed to be 1 over double your frame rate. I'm right by an enormous window, so there's a lot of natural light coming in, and it would have just blown out my skin. This lens has a huge aperture, doesn't f1.4 aperture.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode of the Rise Together podcast. Dave here. I am so excited to be able to introduce you to, if you're not already introduced, my goodness, my friend, an amazing human being, a powerhouse of a woman. Her name is Lisa Bilyeu. She is the co-founder of the billion-dollar company Quest Nutrition and the co-founder and president of Impact Theory. She is the host of Women of Impact, a show featuring women who have overcome incredible hardship to achieve massive success. Her mission on this planet is to empower all women to become the heroes of their own lives. Let's go, Lisa. She also happens to have her first book, an incredible book. It's called Radical Confidence. It is just out. It came out on May 10th, and it is an inspiring and laugh out loud guide to building the kind of confidence that it really takes to live the life of your dreams. Without further ado, please welcome Lisa Bilyeu to the Rise Together podcast.
Well, I just have to say that I'm very excited because I'm someone who totally lacks any confidence. So I need this. So this should help me, I think.
Yes. Hello, my friend.
What up, Dave Hollis?
What would the world look
What a strange place to cut it off in to do your little intro. That was weird. Why don't you just introduce it? And then, don't have her say anything until after the intro. Why don't you just be like, oh, Lisa Bilyeu is going to be on, and then roll the intro, and then introduce her. I don't understand. That was super weird to have her just say, what up, Dave Hollis, and then you're just going with the intro. It was really strange. I hate his intro. I hate it.
Look like if we all pushed ourselves to have candid conversations with people who didn't look like us, think like us?
Okay, when have you ever had anyone on who didn't look like you, Dave?
Or live like us? I'm Dave Hollis, and I'm on a mission to learn more about this world by meeting more of the people who live here. You may not always agree with everything you hear, but I guarantee you'll come away more informed on topics you might never have thought to seek out before. This isn't just a podcast.
So fair and balanced.
It's a community. And when we raise each other up, we all rise together. So nice to see you. If you've not seen Lisa before, you will always know exactly who it is when you see her because, man, I love one thing. I mean, I love everything about you, but one of the things that I love about you is that...
All right, Dave, settle down. I know that you're divorced, but she is married, I might remind you. All right. And I don't know if I trust Tom to be nonviolent all the time. All right. You know, Tom looks a little, I don't know. Tom could probably kick your ass, Dave.
That you are you. I mean, you are just you. And whether it's your hair, your clothes, your jewelry, or anything else, there is just something of confidence that just radiates in you owning you. And it's part of your calling card. It's part of what I love about you. I know.
See, he's totally doing that thing he does where he just like, he'll mirror and he'll say like exactly what he thinks that the person he's talking to wants him to say. Like, her book is called Radical Confidence. And he's like, wow, Lisa, I mean, I don't know what it is, but you always look so confident. What's your secret? Like, yeah, well, I doubt you would have said that. I mean, I don't know, Lisa, but that's just a rare thing that you say about someone as the first thing that you notice about them. So I don't know. He's doing that mirroring thing again. He always does that. He's never actually saying what he authentically thinks. He's saying what he thinks you want him to say.
We're going to have a conversation of how that has morphed and changed over time, but it's just so good to see your stinking face. I just gave the very...
Okay, please do not refer to any part of my body as stinkin'. My face does not stink.
Gave the very quickest of overviews of a bio, as it were, but in your own words, can you give the listeners who may not yet be familiar with you or your work a little bit of who you are and why you're here?
Yes, thank you, Dave. I am Lisa Bilyeu. And a really quick recap, I think, is the biggest thing that I'm most proud of is I spent 8 years of my life doing something that I thought I should do. And that was to be the stay-at-home wife, to take care of my husband, to cook and to clean for him. And even though I had big, massive, wild, audacious dreams when I was a kid to come to Hollywood and make big movies, I ended up slipping into a pattern of looking after my husband and cooking and cleaning for him. And in that 8 years, I called it I was living in the purgatory of the mundane. And that meant that I never hit rock bottom. So many people, so many incredible humans that I've interviewed.
Wouldn't your husband disagree with that? Like, didn't your husband in his talk that we just watched say like that everybody hits rock bottom? I'm just saying, I don't know. It seems like there's some discord in the old advice giving here. I mean, I think that this is a common malaise or something that tends to occur with women, with particularly women, especially with the current, social environment that we have, where if one parent doesn't work, it's expected that will be the mother, because I guess it's traditional. It's actually a really big issue here in Utah, where I believe, if I remember correctly, nationwide, about 50% of married mothers work. But in Utah, that is only 25%, which is one of the main reasons why MLMs are so big in Utah, because like they want something that they can do from home because they're expected to stay home with the kids. But yeah, I mean, I think that this is something that a lot of, especially women, can relate to, because it is a struggle that they frequently have where, they had goals for themselves other than, some women want it to be stay-at-home mothers with their kids. But, many don't. And really, they should have that choice of like, do you want to or do you not want to? And you should be able to do whatever you want. But yeah, I mean, that sounds like it would be really, 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 really difficult to struggle with. But although I would say that it's kind of a little bit harder to sympathize with it when it is a wealthy family that we're talking about, like with the Bilyeus. And it is Bilyeu, we learned, see? With the Bilyeus, where, I mean, I would assume since they're pretty wealthy, there's nothing that would stop them from being able to get childcare if she wanted to work outside the home. They certainly have enough money to do that. So I don't really understand I don't quite feel like it's as sympathetic of a story, because many women, they do not work outside the home, because if they worked outside the home and they had to get childcare, that would either be impossible, or it would net be a loss, because the childcare would cost more than they could earn working. And so they stay home with the kids instead of going out and working, because the childcare it's too expensive. So yeah, I mean, but I do see where she's coming from on that. I'm sure that's very, very challenging. I can't imagine what that's like. I mean, because that's kind of why, like, I don't ever want kids, don't have kids. And I don't know, maybe people think it's self-centered that I'm like, no, I don't want kids because I want all of my time for myself. But I don't really think that's self-centered to have that conversation with yourself about that, to realign your priorities or something. Like, it would be self-centered if I had kids and then I didn't make time for them. that would be self-centered. Yeah. So I don't know. I see where she's coming from, but I hesitate. I'm reluctant to be sympathetic to her on that, because really she doesn't have the same challenges that women who aren't as wealthy would have.
You have all done amazing things when they've hit rock bottom, because they feel like they've got nothing else to lose. And for me, for 8 years, I didn't. And so my life was just mundane enough. And I never felt like I had the confidence or the right to ask for a different life, to ask for more. I felt like I was, every time I would think I'd be sad about the fact that I'd lost my hopes and dreams, I used gratitude as a reminder of how amazing my husband was and how amazing the roof over my head was, and who do I think I, was to ask for more. And I use that mindset every day. And the gratitude piece really did get me through the hard times. And yet it ended up being that one of the things that kept me stuck for 8 years was because I didn't feel like I could ask for more. And then very quickly flash forward, my husband starts a new company called Quest Nutrition. I, as being the traditional Greek wife, was like, babe, how can I help you? Like, can I, what can I do? And he's like, I just ship a couple of bars from your living room floor. And we just handmade bars by with rolling pins and knives. I was like, oh, I can do that. I'm, good supportive wife. What we didn't
your living room floor. Were you guys not married at this time? I feel like they were already married at this time. Haven't they been married for a long time? So don't you guys have the same living room floor? I don't know. That was confusing. And I kind of don't believe this story.
Bet is that the company would grow at 57,000%. And within that growth, every single day I was facing obstacles, hurdles, and I kept telling myself, but I got to do it. Our house was up for collateral. So I kept saying, if you don't figure this out, you'll lose your house. If
Oh, we'll see. Lisa here, like they were working because they had to work, or else they would lose their house, unlike the rest of us. Lisa, the rent on my flat is due whether I'm working or not, and so that's why I have to work, because then I can't pay rent on my flat, is it?
You're in a room where you feel like you're the most incompetent person and you don't have the skill sets like everybody else does, but you have to figure it out, Lisa, otherwise you're going to lose your house. And in that process, in being challenged every day, in falling on my face every day, in seeing failure every single day, I realized what I was capable of. And it was in that growth, in that evolution, that really pushed me to think about what else was possible. And that is basically what took me from being a stay-at-home wife supporting my husband for 8 years to helping build $1 billion company, Quest, to then building Impact Theory, which now I've used over 500 million in our ecosystem, and have my own show, Women of Impact, and having written this book.
So cool, so crazy, so wild. So the 8-year
I thought your dream was to make movies.
Window is one that at a certain point, the whisper, whether it's intuition or knowing, like starts to really make some more noise. You're at a certain point engaged in a conversation saying, hey, I do think that it's time for me to step into something. Or was this a conversation during the 8 years that was coming up? I'm going to imagine that it was something that happened later in the 8 years than earlier, but can you talk just a little bit?
Can I just say here that it kind of sounds like the problem was less with confidence and more of a problem with their marriage, because from what I can understand, like they've been pretty well off like for a good while, and so I don't understand. Like, so the expectation, like the pressure being placed on her to be a stay-at-home mom when it sounds like she really didn't want to be. I mean, it sounds like that's coming from Tom, because it's not coming from their finances. They could get childcare, I'm sure. I'm sure they could afford it. So I don't get it. I mean, this sounds like you're not addressing the real problem, which is like the conversation that you probably needed to have with Tom.
Someone finds themselves like in that things are okay. Like it's, I'm just settling for it, or being okay that I can still be grateful with where I am, even if I have sacrificed some of my dreams. Was there a point at which you realized, man, I'd be crazy not to make the jump. I have to have a conversation? Or was it something that you guys were talking about all along?
No, it literally, I only slipped into it because I was helping him build Quest. So it started off with, let's just make enough money so we can make our own movies. So for the first year, as you know, like I was just like, it's all in the greater good of making movies. We're just going to make a bit of money. It's just going to be for a year and a half. And then that year and a half comes and goes. Of course, we didn't make enough money to make movies. What a surprise. And so we do another year and a half, and we do another year and a half. And when I look back now, I don't know about you, but how many people listening right now have said that they don't want to make the years they've already put in a waste, a quote unquote waste. So I want to punch myself in the face, Dave, because I'm like, I would rather put more time and energy into something that doesn't fill me up, that doesn't light me on fire, because I'm so worried about looking back at the years that I feel like I've wasted. Like, that is so crazy to me. But yet that is what I was doing. And it was something that I call, like, I had to start killing the squirrels. Now, what I mean by that is, the movie with the dog, and it's like a squirrel comes like, oh, squirrel. And it's like the best distraction ever. How many squirrels do we have in our lives? How many things do we use as distractions so that we don't actually look at what is happening? And so I had to, over time, as I was waiting for the when to come, when we have enough money, when my husband is happy, when we can make movies, I'll be happy. When. As I was waiting for that, Quest came along and threw me into the deep end. And that deep end was like, well, Lisa, you're going to have to learn how to swim or you're drowning. And in the face of, oh my God, we're about to lose our house. Oh my God, my husband's relying on me. You're a good Greek wife, Lisa. You can't let him down. In that is where I was like, wow, I didn't realize what I was capable of. So when I think about that person sitting at home now that hasn't hit rock bottom, I never hit rock bottom. What is that thing that is going to shake that person awake, or that to realize maybe they're not living the life they want? Because we can convince ourselves, very rationally convince ourselves why we're doing what we're doing. It's for the greater good.
Yeah.
And
I feel like what she's calling killing the squirrels is just the sunk cost fallacy, where you keep going with something that is kind of not a good decision because you've already invested so much into it. It's like if you it's like you keep playing a slot machine because you've already put so much money into the slot machine, even though like that has no impact on whether the slot machine is going to hit the jackpot or not. And it doesn't like, just because you've invested a lot into something doesn't mean that it is a good idea or that it will lead to success. It just means you've invested a lot into it, and it is pretty much just as likely that maybe you need to cut your losses and move on. And I do agree with her on that. She is right that a lot of times you get so distracted that you don't really realize what's happening in like the long view of it, and I would definitely say that being aware of the sunk cost fallacy definitely improves the decisions that you make, because it's just no reason to continue doing something just because you've invested a lot into it. You should continue doing something because either it's going to be profitable for you, or you will like it, or you can see where it's going to lead, not because you've already invested a lot in it. That just means maybe you should cut your losses.
Now, the question is, what if that never happened? What if that never came? Would you still be doing what you're doing right now?
I mean, I always talk about it in terms of being pot committed. It's a poker and term,
Oh, yeah.
right?
I literally use that in the book, pot committed.
Right? You've got so much money invested in this hand that folding the hand because of what you've already invested becomes bad from a math perspective. But life is...
Dave, did you skim her book and pull out a few terms to use? You did, didn't you? You little mirror.
In the game of poker, and the logic that's involved in staying invested in something that you know is now a losing hand is a losing proposition. And yet here, your situation is not a unique one. I've been in plenty of situations that I've stayed inside of, or I've been in situations where I
don't think this is a correct use of pot committed. Because in poker, if you're pot committed, it's because like there's a ton of money, like there's like $1,000 in the pot, and you've only put in like $50, and they're saying like you should keep playing, you shouldn't fold because the amount that you could win is a lot, like, and you've only put a little bit of that in, so it doesn't make any sense for you to fold because you're just going to lose like $50, but you could win $1,000 if you win. There's a difference between being pot committed, which is the situation I described, and feeling pot committed, which is where you are just continuing to not fold because you have so much invested into the pot, which is interesting because that's kind of the reverse situation. But whatever, they should have specified that. That's not the definition I've always heard.
The idea of admitting that I needed to do something new, or reaching for and getting help, or doing something that was going to have to deviate from what I'd already said I was up to, felt like, man, there's so much invested, there's so much already stated that this is the direction I'm going, that a lot of times it's ego. That's like, oh man, I don't want to have to now confess that I was wrong.
Yeah, see, it kind of sounds like you don't know what pot committed means.
For as long as I've been, this is the right thing. But man, there's such freedom when you actually are able to be honest about it, release it, and put every single day and every single bit of energy into whatever it is that is next and new. I'm going to assume that now I love you guys, and I love the way that you have approached your business and the way that you lead your teams. There is something in all of it that one is different, frankly, than the way I have done a whole host of things. And I love that difference is a thing that works inside of your ecosystem, because I learn a lot from anyone who does anything differently. But also, you're entrepreneurs. And the idea of going from being someone who's staying at home and supporting a husband to someone who thrives inside the entrepreneurial space, I can't imagine that it was something that you had as a young human necessarily, but it seems like something that is just like such a fit. Like, is entrepreneurship a bug that you catch? Is it because of proximity to someone who was an entrepreneur that it over time became something you felt drawn to? Or is it somewhere in the middle?
Yeah, I think it's somewhere in the middle. I think, we all talk about passion and desire and mission. You don't just find it. You don't just like stumble on it. I think you have to try new things, and you have to see what really does fit. Like Tom once said this and it hit me so freaking hard. I'm going to see if I can remember it clearly. He was like, a passion and a mission isn't an archaeological dig. You don't just like keep digging and find it. He said it's an architectural build. You have to put one brick on it at a time. That means you have to try something. You have to try something else. If you like it, you lean into it more. You put another brick on. You're like, oh, maybe I like this. You put another brick on. So it becomes like this build. And that's exactly what happened to me. I didn't realize I liked this. And the truth was, there's still some parts of business I absolutely hate. But I never really understood what a mission was until I found it. So in Building Quest, as we were doing that, I literally just thought of myself still as a great supportive wife, and I'm just doing this to help my husband. I don't want to lose my house, so this is my role as in the relationship. And so as I was doing that, and as I started to realize all these challenges that I was facing that I had to figure out for myself, that I would never maybe turn to Tom in the past, right? Hey, babe, can you help me with this? He wasn't around. He was looking to me to help. So I had to solve it. That made me feel really good about myself. And then something really interesting happened, Dave. Over time, the building of the skill sets, the building of my mind, the changing and the growth of realizing what I was made of, not what Tom could help me do, not what my parents could help me do, but what I did on my own. I started to go, wow, maybe I should think more highly of myself.
Yeah.
Because I had such a negative voice in my head. And that thinking highly of, like thinking better about myself, started to lead into seeing the results of what I was creating. And it wasn't just internal. So there was a moment where a parent wrote a letter, and this is very early on. So I'm still in our shipping department very early on. A parent wrote in and basically said, I have a type 1 diabetic son and he cannot eat sweets. And I feel like a terrible mother. Every time he's at birthday parties, every time he's at any event, I'm literally having to rip out the cake from his hand. He doesn't quite understand why, but I have to protect him. And so I have to keep taking this out of his hands. And he's like, But when he eats Quest bars, his blood sugar doesn't spike.
Well, I mean, I would just caution her to be a little careful with her son. Like it's not necessarily the case that he can never have any sweets. Like you need to go for a small portion and definitely monitor the blood sugar afterward. And so that you know how it kind of responds to it. But as long as you are not going crazy with it and you are incorporating that the carbs that are in the sugar, like as long as you're incorporating that into your totals for that meal and you're using the proper amount of insulin, it should be okay for a small portion. I would hope that she's not unintentionally encouraging her son to sneak those sweet treats unbeknownst to her, which, that could be bad. I don't know. That just seemed a little bit extreme to me.
And so she said, thanks to your product, I feel like a better mother.
Editing Mac here. Just wanted to give a quick trigger warning for some very brief discussions of some EDs. If you are not prepared for that, please skip ahead to the time on the screen. Thank you.
Ooh.
That goes beyond just like I'm saving my house and I'm helping my husband. And then there was one other message that that we got that was from a lady who was around 40 pounds. She was anorexic and in hospital, like literally on a freaking deathbed. And she found Quest bars and she wrote in and said, thank you for introducing me to calories again. Because of your product, I have now found peace within calories, and now I can start eating again. And now I've been able to really start to work on my mindset after my anorexia.
Wow.
Diet culture causes anorexia. It does not solve it. Are you fucking kidding me? Are you fucking kidding me? Are you actually saying that Quest bars, which are, I remind you, a diet food that, labels all these diet claims on their label, like, oh, there's only this many calories, there's only this much sugar in it, da 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 da, it'll, for weight loss, da da da, etc. What? The audacity of basically claiming that Quest bars cured anorexia. Quest bars, which are a diet food making all the same health claims as the rest of the, diet industry, diet culture makes, has the audacity to claim that Quest bars cured anorexia. Well, maybe if it weren't for all this like diet culture and stuff and all this, hyper fixation, maybe fewer people would develop an eating disorder in the first place. Okay, like what the fuck? Are you kidding me? I mean, that does not sound like a healthy recovery has been achieved there, if that story is even true. And it is the fact that you would basically say that with basically the implication that Quest bars cured her anorexia is frankly unbelievable. It is unbelievable. That is such an offensive claim to make. Like, leave eating disorders alone, okay? You are part of the problem at Quest, okay? You're not helping. And like, how do we know that this Quest bar is not some new part of a continued disordered eating pattern? Because it could very well be. It doesn't sound it just does not sound at all like something that is an actual helpful solution, especially in an extreme case as the one that she described. That's crazy. That is ridiculous and just outrageous and offensive. And I cannot believe she just said that. Like, don't tell that story. Even if it's a story that you actually got sent in and you didn't just make up, don't share that. Because you know what the conclusion people will draw from it is. That, like, it is a reasonable inference to draw that you are implying that it is helpful in anorexia to eat Quest bars. That Quest nutrition is just so helpful to eating disorders and certainly does not perpetuate the diet culture that, you know, is at least partially responsible for them. Crazy. Absolutely crazy.
And once that starts to happen, once you start to really get emotionally connected, because I've had a very unhealthy relationship with food my whole life. I've seen my mum have, you know, be borderline anorexic and then flip to become clinically obese. And so I've seen people in my life that have been wildly impacted. And so this thing that I was starting, that I was just helping my husband out, all these obstacles I was overcoming, turned into what I now see as a mission. And then in those moments where now I had a mission and I faced obstacles or challenges or faced things that I wasn't actually prepared for, I just said to myself, going back to what you said earlier about ego, what would you rather? Would you rather let your ego take control and say, oh my God, you don't know how to? Or would you rather say, sorry, ego, I'm not going to let you drive. My goal and impact is more important. And that means facing yourself, facing the obstacles and doing it anyway.
Imagine thinking that helping with your husband's business is like this, is this profound and incredible of an experience. Like, yeah, a lot of people experience this. And God, with the way that you and Tom talk about your families, Jesus Christ. And don't stop talking about eating disorders.
In that you did not start necessarily as someone that was in this business as much as a supporter of the business operator, as you're integrating into the business and still interested in making out. How did you negotiate the...
Good God, barf. It was gross when you said it about Rachel, and it's gross when you're saying it about, it's just, like, what are you, in middle school?
Here's my role, here's your role. How do we keep there, you know, something of some boundary or lane markers so that my coming in here is additive and not competitive or not in any way threatening to...
Lisa, tell me what I did wrong with Rachel.
But either of us, frankly, because it's a bit of work. I'm personally a fan of a book like Rocket Fuel that talks about the difference between visionary and integrator. I identify very much as an integrator, someone who's more about the how than the what. And that kind of a framework has helped me in anything that I've done, whether it's supporting Heidi or supporting Rachel, whatever it might be. But it's still a dance. And I'm wondering, you know, is it something that you guys had to be very, very vocal in regular conversation about? Did you approach it in drawing it up on paper, or how'd you do it? Because it's hard work to work together and still like each other.
Yes. I love this topic because it's nuanced. And
well, you would know, Dave.
So first of all, Rocket Fuel. Oh my God, what a book. Dude, when I say, I think you may have even recommended it to me maybe, but like I remember reading it thinking, I finally feel valued. Like there was something about, right, where it was like, yes, the rocket gets all the accolades, but the rocket ain't going anywhere without the fuel. And so you fueled people out there who don't get any credit, know that the rocket is literally just an object not moving. And so I was like, oh, thank you. Like, because I was always behind the scenes with Tom, like as we build even.
Okay, sure. I mean, that sounds like I've never heard of or read this book, but it sounds really dumb. And sure, maybe that's the case with rockets, but rockets aren't people and neither is fuel. And I would say that if we're talking about people, then I would say that the fuel is getting fucked over by the rocket. Okay? Like it's not okay.
Impact theory to people may not know that. Yeah, I was never in front of the camera ever. For 4 years, I think I was just the executive producer and president of the company, and it was all about content he was in. And so I was very much behind the scenes. So yes, that book was wildly impactful on me and just how I saw myself.
Same.
But so there's so many things here. First of all, is knowing who's got the skill sets. Now, there might be crossovers in skill sets, right? So it's identifying what skill sets you have and what things because of those skill sets, you're going to oversee. Because if you are both exactly the same, then one of you is literally insignificant because you are both doing the same thing. So it's okay if you have skill sets that are the same, but you just have to allocate who's like the lead in that, because there are going to become 1,000 moments where you guys are going to come into conflict, 1,000. And so when you come into conflict, who has decided is the expert in this field and who has final say? So that was one thing with me and Tom is, what are the things he oversees? What are the things I oversee? Who has final say in what? Okay, so now we know which departments each of us are overseeing. And now what happens if you have an opinion and you cannot convince the other person?
Yeah.
So we make all those decisions before we're actually in that situation. So for instance, when it comes to marketing, Tom was the one behind Quest Nutrition. He was the one that was like, look, this new social media thing that no one really knew what we were calling it. He was like, I'm telling you, it evangelizes the people. It puts the power in the people's hands. They're the ones that are going to talk about our product. So he's a marketing genius. So even if I think I've got a better marketing idea, we have established that even if I think I think that sometimes I may have a better idea, he's got more credibility. Okay, great.
Yep.
He's got more credibility. So do we agree he's the one that has final say? Yes. Okay.
I think that basing what idea you go on the person who gave the idea is kind of a dumb idea in itself. I mean, maybe it should be based on a careful evaluation of the idea and its merits, but that's just me. I mean, I don't know. I feel like a married couple who can work together like this, I don't know. It's in my opinion, it's probably very, 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 very rare. But what do I know?
What if we're having a discussion and we're going back and forward? What if he says, Lisa, I hear you, and this is in front of the team, because we're always very open about our disagreements, because to me, it's not about the right person, it's about the right idea. So we have these discussions.
That's what I said.
Very respectfully in front of our team, because we want our team to be a part of it, to see who has the better idea. Maybe it's them, maybe it's neither me or Tom, maybe it's the intern. That's very possible. And if it is the intern, then hell yeah, we want to hear it. That is all we care about. So we have these discussions in front of the team, and then whoever is the one that makes the final say, if the other person still disagrees, the words they must say out loud, and we've pinky swore, you have to say, I disagree, but commit.
Oh, wow.
I disagree, but commit. Because
I love it. And tell them, because I already know where it's going. And I think this is a fantastic solution.
We don't want to be petty, but sometimes as humans, we can be petty. And sometimes when we don't get our way and the other person gets their way, sometimes the pettiness comes out, and sometimes you're like, see, I knew it wouldn't work. I told you. And that's where the pettiness comes in. And that's where now you and your business partner are no longer aligned. Because now one of you is actually glad the other one failed. Oh, yeah. You don't want to be petty, but let's face it, if we can just be freaking honest. So what we've decided is ahead of time, we've got rid of the pettiness, and we've just said, do we both want to succeed? Yes. Do we both want the company to succeed? Yes. Are we aligned in that same mission? Yes. So even if I don't go with your idea, don't you want the idea to work? Yeah, you do. So now when you can say that, when you don't have the pettiness, when your emotions aren't at that point of being petty, now when you go into it, you can say it. And that's I've had to say that out loud in front of a team of 20 people where Tom and I were disagreeing. And he said, I've heard you, but I disagree. We're going with my idea. In that moment, it doesn't feel good. I'm not going to pretend it doesn't feel good, but we've made a promise. And I promised that I would say it. So in saying those words, it's like, okay, I agree, but commit. It's funny. It does something to your mind, even if you don't want to say it. It actually just reinforces yeah. And once you've said it, you're kind of proud that you said the hard thing. And now because you're proud you said the hard thing, you really do want it to work out, because you were proud of the person, because you were the person that said you do want it to work out, even though it's not your idea.
Oh man, I love it, because in some ways it's permission to release yourself from some of the emotion that would have been around, and not being the one whose advice they're taking and moving forward with, because of the fact that it was pre-negotiated. And it's because it was pre-negotiated that it just alleviates some of the emotion. Doesn't mean that you're not going to feel something. Of course you are, but you're going to feel it and be able to move on a lot faster from it. Okay, so there is another interest.
I can kind of see the merits of doing that, but at the same time, that sounds like it could easily become like a phrase you're just expecting people to say all the time. Like, I feel as though this is not quite the equal balance thing that they're making it out to be. Why do I feel like she probably says that phrase more often than Tom does? Because they probably usually go with whatever he wants. I feel like he just seems very controlling to me. Like, this just feels manipulative. I don't know. That's just my gut reaction to it.
thing that I'm wondering, and it's a little bit because of my own experience in having partnered with someone who'd already been operating inside of a business that I was now joining as an integrator. And I refer now to my experience with Rachel and having...
Jesus Christ, Dave. Like, the circumlocutions that you are capable of crafting are incredible to me. Like, the ways that you can make a very simple concept sound arcane and confusing is wow. Like, you could have just said that's similar to how it was with Rachel. That's a lot shorter, isn't it?
Her had 7, 8, 9 years worth of time having built something of a community that I was jumping into back in 2018. The conversation around the jump was something that was very much a, hey, I've got a vision for where I hope to have this thing go. I, in a Liam Neeson kind of way, have a special set of skills around operations and how...
Good God.
How you do certain things. How can I take the vision that you've cast and make it a thing, an integrator? And for the better part of, the first year of trying to be the how person, we had a great thing going. And hey, there's a book that's coming out, but could we also create something in podcast form or social form, or we've got events that are coming. Could we maybe film one and turn it into a documentary? Like a whole host of things that might take us from where we were to where we were hoping to go. And along the way, we run into this conversation about the sustainability of the business and the question of a bus test. If Rachel wasn't available to be present, would the Hollis company still exist? It was harder for us to answer the question. And so we start then thinking a little bit about, can we maybe bring in some other voices in creating a podcast network or have other people that regularly speak on stages? And at the same time, I find myself asking myself, hey, might there also be some things that you could do in storytelling because of the way that you are wildly different from the way that she is in motivation? I'm not motivated like her in believing in these resources that we are making available to people. I was skeptical of almost everything. So I felt called in so many ways to kind of also step in and do some work inside of the space that would pull me in front of the typewriter. People use typewriters anymore to write a book, to write a book.
You see how I just lost as well? I'm like, okay, typewriter. I'm so with
There's no typewriters. There are no typewriters. No, but like I feel this call, like, hey man, I think hey gal, I think I might also have some stories that I can tell or a perspective that I can share that might also be relatable to people, but not exactly aligned necessarily with yours, because I don't wake up every day super motivated and I struggle in ways that frankly you don't. And so I feel this draw to come from behind the scenes where I'm doing more of this operational work. And it is something that was hard primarily because everything that our relationship and that company had been built around was about her as the leading voice and force for the company. And I'm curious how your own call to step into the space with Women of Impact, step into the space now with Radical Confidence as a book. Was there something that you had to try and confront in it feeling potentially disruptive to something that you'd already had running and working inside of Impact Theory with Tom as that lead voice and figurehead of the company? Was it just time? It was a thing that you needed to do. How did it come up and how did it feel navigating?
Yeah, Dave, see, this is very, it's a really hard thing. And if I can share a little story of where the hard discussion started from, I might give an insight into our transition with me in front of the camera. So as I was a stay-at-home wife for 8 years, taking care of his needs, literally to the point where he woke up in the morning, he reaches over, his gym clothes are next to his bed. He puts his gym clothes in, his car's filled up with gas. He drives to the gym, he comes back, his work clothes are waiting by the shower with a clean towel. He gets out the shower, he gets dressed, I hand him his lunchbox as he's walking out. Like literally he comes home, his dinner's waiting. I took care of everything. Now flash forward to, I realized I want to be in business. And that was the hardest conversation because I'd never had a conversation like that before. I told him I wanted to have 4 children when we first got married. And so now here I am. I don't want to putting him anymore in the sense of putting his clothes out, and I don't want any children. That alone is like, oh, he has every right, I mean, quote unquote, to divorce me, right? Like I've told him I want 4 children. I'm changing the game. I'm changing who I am as a wife, as a person, as a partner. And so how do I approach that? And so I really had to pause and I said, okay, what are the things that are important to me? I need him to know that my change in me has no reflection of how much I love him, how much I feel about him. And so
wait, do they not have kids? Then couldn't you have been working? See, this is where it starts to sound like Tom is extremely controlling. Because it was one thing when I thought they had kids, but now I know they don't. Yikes. Yeah, you're not his mother.
I need to make that so clear that to me putting clothes out for him and me cooking for him it doesn't equate to my love for him. So that was really where I first started. I had to just tell him that, hey, look, hopefully you don't think of me putting your clothes out as a sign of loving you. And if I don't do that, it's a sign of me not loving you, but we need to address it just in case. And so that was the first discussion. Oh, sorry, actually, the first thing was how I'm feeling. Transparency. This isn't the blame game. This is nothing to do with him. This is just me. And so I said, babe, for 8 years, I haven't told you how unhappy I've been. That's on me. That's not a you thing.
Yeah.
I've told you, yeah, I'm bored, but I've never actually told you how I feel like I've lost myself. I've lost who I am. I've lost my dreams. I don't get butterflies in my stomach anymore. I don't, that dream when you first met me when I was that 21-year-old who wants to make movies, I don't know where she's gone. I didn't say any of that to him. So I had to take ownership over the fact that I wasn't telling him how unhappy I was. And so that was step one, taking ownership over expressing and really shedding light over the last 8 years, but it not being a him thing, it being a me thing. I decided not to share this. Then secondly, why I'm unhappy and what are the things I'm doing that's unhappy. So putting your clothes out, it doesn't fulfill me anymore, babe. I still love you, but it doesn't fulfill me. And why what I'm doing now does. But babe, I never realized I could be this on fire. And yet every day I go into Quest and I feel so alive. Just being transparent about where I was and where I'm feeling. And now saying, I really don't want to put clothes out for you anymore. I don't want to cook for you anymore. Now, look, there's two things here. One, I respect you're going to have a response to this. This isn't a, hey, I'm changing and there's my partner, you got to deal with it. No one wants that. You come to me like that, right? If he came to me like Dave and he was saying to me, Lisa, I'm going to change and you're just going to have to deal with it. I'm like, that's really disrespectful. Like, at least show some grace and respect that.
Am I the weird one for thinking that this sounds insane? Like 8 years you're staying at home when you don't even have kids? That doesn't make any sense to me. Like, would he not let you? Or like, because I don't know, that just seems like extremely controlling to me. Like, that doesn't sound like normal to me. Wow, I really thought they had kids. I really did. Oof. I mean, no judgment if people want to live like that, but I mean, to me, it sounds crazy. Okay, so I went on a hike this morning and it was brutal. And so now I am starving, but I want to get this video finished. So I have a Apollo burger that I'm going to sit here and eat. I hope you don't mind. Got my fry sauce and I'm ready to crank it. Everybody not in Utah, you don't understand what you're missing.
And there's going to be a transformation period right here, transition period. So I was like, give him the grace that I'm the one changing. So that's exactly what I did, babe. I know that I'm the one changing. This is why I'm changing. This is how I felt. And now let's move forward. What do you need from me? How can I support you in accepting this change in me? And so one of the things I said to him, Dave, and this is a little joke, no joke, but I was like, what if I wean him off me taking care of him? So I basically said, I know that I do this for 7 days a week. Now, what if next week I do it 6 days? And then the week after I do it 5. And then we go down to 4 and then we go down to 3. And that's me showing you the respect that the transition period is maybe going to be difficult, that I'm willing to go and get uncomfortable to help you get through this transition where you've been used to me cooking for you, taking care for you 7 days a week. And now we're doing it together. Now it feels like a partnership in this transformation and this transition. And I was like, I would really appreciate that, babe. How do you feel? And now in this moment, he has an opportunity. And what he said was, babe, what kind of husband would I be if I put my comfort ahead of your happiness? Yeah. And so he said, it's going to be difficult. Yeah. Let's work through this and let's do it together. And then the last piece that I would just add that I said to him is, you probably have to mourn, and I had to mourn the wife I thought I was going to be.
Ooh, that's good. Yeah. I've spent a lot of time on this podcast talking.
I'm sorry, but if he can't get his own clothes ready, then I don't know. He's a big baby. I think that these people think way too hard about like who they are and identity and stuff. I don't know. To me, it just sounds like a bunch of blah, 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 that doesn't really matter.
Self-awareness is literally the thing that if anyone wants to start any journey, I think it starts there, is like being so aware of yourself and why you do what you do with no judgment. And to be honest with me and the book Radical Confidence, the very first key is in each situation, I just self-assess. Like, oh, you're insecure? Okay. oh, you're, feeling imposter syndrome. Okay, that's fine. Like I literally just like, oh, you're falling on your knees and made the same mistake for the 10th time. That's okay. Like it's like that self-awareness piece is so important as the first step, because then you go, and now what? Right? It's like, oh, you've messed up, and now what?
Okay, I mean, that's just basic mindfulness though, like where you notice things and that's all, where you're just noticing things, not like judging them. You're just noticing things. I mean, and yeah, there's something to be said for the benefits of mindfulness exercises, but like, this isn't some new thing that you've come up with.
Because it was so hard for me to ask, after 8 years, is this the life I still want? Right? It took me 8 years to even ask that question. 8 years. I refused to even go like 8 months without asking myself. So now I have a chapter in my book that says, open the can of worms and embrace the ick, which means opening up the can of worms is asking the hard questions, and embracing the ick is answering them and then dealing with all the messiness that comes with it.
Ooh, that's good.
So even now, so I don't go for so long without kind of getting blindsided. Even probably every quarter, I ask myself all the hard questions that I don't want to ask myself. Like, do I still want to be business partners with my husband? I still ask myself that like every few months, because I never want to assume, I never want to get into a pattern where all of a sudden 3 years from now, I've been giving myself all reason and excuses and pushing off that something was unsettling. And now before you know it, I've hit the wall, and I'm like, we no longer want to be business partners anymore. And that's that.
I actually like that idea. I think it's a good idea to regularly check in with yourself about like, am I doing the things that I want to do? Like, am I still doing something that I like? Am I heading toward a place that I want to go? Like, I mean, I do think it's worth like kind of checking in with yourself so that you're not kind of getting into autopilot and heading in the wrong direction. But I don't know. Yeah, I mean, that on that point, I like what she had to say.
Like you said, if you schedule it or give yourself permission and you tell your partner, now it kind of takes away a bit of the guilt that you kind of find yourself where like for instance, if you're in a marriage and you ask yourself, do I want to get a divorce? Like sometimes you feel guilty even just asking that in your head. So in trying to eliminate the guilt, it's like Tom and I just say out loud, oh yeah, we just think about our business, our marriage, our relationship. Every month, every few months, we reassess, we ask all the hard questions. And usually on like dates and stuff, if we're like going to go out and have some fun, like we take the hard questions with us. Now, this is very delicate. You have to find the right time and the right mood, and you have to be bonded. But we will ask ourselves, like some of my favorite relationship questions to ask each other is, what did I used to do for you that I stopped doing that you want me to do again? Or what's the one thing you thought you would have in a wife that I don't have? Oh, that's hard to ask him. Ooh. But here's the thing. I don't ask, like I ask him because I really want to know. I don't want him to feel secrets. And if he says something like, oh, I wished I had the 6-foot wife. Well, sorry, I can't do anything about that, right? But if you're like, oh, I wish I had, I kind of wanted, when I was a kid, I dreamt of a wife, like just like every so often surprising me under the covers in the morning, right? Like whatever. So okay, at least I know. Doesn't mean I have to do it, but now at least I know. And that's kind of where we try to do in our relationship, is give each other the space to say the hard thing and it not be about them specifically, if you know what I mean. And it just allows, like with the business, it's like, babe, if Tom was like, I'm not sure we should be in business anymore, I would be like, oh my God, why? Like, let's talk through this. What's the problem? But you have to ask yourself, because the second you put it off, you feel guilty. And then what happens is you don't say anything, years go by, and then you blurt it out and there's a point of no return.
I actually like that segment. Like I thought that was a good question, where it was, what is one thing that I used to do for you that you miss me doing that I don't do anymore, or whatever it was. Like, I actually thought that was like a really good question to ask. I mean, it's nothing earth shattering, and granted, this is after all the toxic stuff about eating disorders. So, still overall not great.
One of the things I love about you guys, like you just have this willingness to, I remember that like a line that you said at one point, and then I realized how much I was a person who allowed it to accumulate. Like, let's never let dust accumulate. Mm-hmm. Let's always be kind of like cleaning the little things up by confronting them, so that it never gets to a place where it's so dirty it can't be cleaned. And so there's something about your willingness, even though it feels really uncomfortable to me to have to be this direct, to just be direct with, hey, this is how this.
Wow, guys, can you believe that Dave is just not the best with being direct? I mean, normally the way that he speaks is normally so direct and efficient and not full of a bunch of unnecessary words. So to me, it's just absolutely shocking that he would have any problem being direct.
Made me feel was one of the exercises I know you guys have talked about plenty, and that just like as a vehicle to never let anything fester, always be a real-time reflection of what, you are perceiving to be their intention, even though, of course, it may not have been, as a remedy for anything small becoming big. But I also love this thing about you guys, which is like, once you do put things on the table and agree that this is what you're going to do, your follow-up question being, no bullshit, what would it take? Like, there is something about that, like, even like the pursuit of the business, right? Like, it would take your decision, as it turns out, because of the way that you want to pursue it, to also not have kids as a thing that would come with it, which is obviously an incredibly difficult trade-off because of the way that you've described your dreams and passion, whatever, for wanting to have kids at some point in your life and having to hold space for both. That not being a thing if you also, and more importantly, are more interested in the first. But that idea of like, what's it going to take? I don't know that we all necessarily approach life with that kind of a question asking methodology, for lack of a better word. I think about it.
Oh my God. That question was like, it was barely even a question. I don't think it was a question. That was just a statement. Like, that was so long. Like, even when this is every time when he has a guest on his podcast, it's like he talks and talks and talks and talks. And then the guest is like, okay. Yep.
It was just like, let's get on the same page and that we're moving forward together. So we look at every situation and we say, what is the goal? Do we align with the goal? Do we agree on what the goal is? If we both say yes, because you have to both verbally agree to what that goal is. Because now if you keep that in head, whether it's in business or whether in a relationship, you both go, okay, this isn't serving us, right? Right. This isn't serving the goal, right? Right. Okay, so now together, do we both agree we need to do something to fix this? Yes. Okay, great. Now what do we both think we should do to fix this? And it becomes the transparency, because if you're both aligned, then you're both just trying to figure it out together. And like the best analogy I can use is like a game of tennis, right? I think so many of us accidentally in a relationship play singles. We're on one side and our partner's on the other, right? And we bounce the ball back and forward. But what you don't realize is actually you've got different goals. Each of you are trying to win. Not both of you can. And what I say is my relationship with Tom is like a game of doubles. We're on the same side of the net. We both have the goal to win together. And what happens is that you both have each other's backs, so that if he misses the ball, I got you. If I miss the ball, he's got me. If I mess up, if I don't practice one day, if we can keep with the analogy, right? If my skill sets have like kind of flumbered a bit because I haven't really practiced, well, he's going to, as my partner, help me get better. And so that becomes when you're in a relationship.
God, I mean, okay, she's not saying anything groundbreaking, but I mostly agree with what she said there too, that like you have to look at it as you two against the world, because once you start being in opposition to each other, it's over.
If you can see things that clearly, that you're both working towards the same thing and you agree, then it just becomes finding the right path to get there. And so anytime you find conflict, it becomes you get back together, you say, okay, we don't seem aligned. You're pushing in this direction, I'm pushing in this. How do we get back aligned? Because whatever implementations, whatever rules, whatever, guide you put in, you need to both be on the same page. So for instance, Tom and I, we both agree we're going to have a relationship together and we're both going to build a business together. But we have to agree, number one, which one comes first. Because imagine I put my business first and he puts our relationship first. That won't work. So you both have to agree. Then you have to agree of what that actually looks like. As in, if I need you as your wife, I may call you. You can ignore me if you're in a business meeting. As your wife, if I call you the second time, you can ignore me as your in a business meeting. I'll never call you 3 times as your business partner. But as your wife, if I call you 3 times, that means your wife needs you. And so now it's like if I call him twice, he may be like, oh, I'm in a business meeting. Maybe it's my business partner. I'm not answering it. If the phone rings the 3rd time, what that tells him immediately is, oh my God, my wife needs me. I am going to answer this phone. Or he works way more than I do. Way more. He works like 120 hours a week. It's insane. Like
he's a machine.
Yeah, he's a machine. I cap at like 65.
120 hours a week. That's over 17 hours a day. So that leaves you with less than 7 hours to yourself. Yeah, I don't think so. Number one, it's not really that honorable. I mean, I guess if it's your own business, then it's like fine because it's something for you. Like, but don't ever do that for an employer, okay? Like, no. But like when like, let alone like when do you shower and when do you, I don't know, have any time to yourself? Like when do you eat? Like when do you wind down? So let's say like it takes you an hour to get ready in the morning and an hour to wind down in the evening. So what, you get like less than 5 hours to sleep every night, assuming you go directly to bed every night? Yeah, I'm sorry. This is neither like honorable nor I don't even think this is a true story. I just don't. It's definitely not healthy.
Where it's like, okay, babe, you want to go this hard, you can go this hard. But what we're going to do is collectively, we're going to put in strategies and tools in our relationship so that we can make sure we protect our relationship from our business. So that means when I'm off duty, when Lisa's off duty, you can't come to me with a business question. Now, of course, how do you know, especially in COVID, when one of you is off duty or not? It's hard, right?
Yeah.
So he would come to me, I would be off duty. He would walk in the room and he's like, babe, I just got this one work question. And I'm like in the middle of watching Friends trying to, like de-stress. And I'm just like, really, you're coming to me with an HR question. And so I would start to get frustrated. And what that happens is you start colliding. And when you start colliding, when it's like there's that kind of murky waters where it's like between the relationship and the business, it then the arguments then to spill into from kind of work into personal. So I couldn't have that. And he couldn't have that because we agreed our personal lives is our main priority. So we need a strategy. Do we agree we need a strategy? Yes, great. You suggest the strategy, I'll suggest the strategy, and whoever has the best idea wins. So we both come to the table. What's your idea, babe? He ended up not having one. My idea was like one of those Brazilian restaurants where, you can say, I want meat or no meat. So I was like, okay, this is going to be our rule. It's going to be like my light switch, my lamp. If I'm off duty, I'm going to switch my lamp on. And when if you walk in, you see my lamp is on, that means that I'm off duty. And if you don't see it's on, then you can come and ask me a work question. So he was like, okay. And I was like, do you agree that this is a good solution? So you have to get the person to agree on the strategy because you can't be butting heads on the strategy either. So he's like, okay, that's a good idea. Let's try it. So the very next day, dude, he walks into the room and he like opens the door. And he's like, babe, I love you. And then he turns around and walks back out and closes the door because he sees the lamp switches on. So now what happens? I feel respected. I feel like he's heard me. I feel as my husband and my business partner, we've now collectively figured out a way to help us, our dynamic and my mental state.
It's so good. It's so interesting.
God damn. She's like, I'm sorry. I'm sure she's worse than this normally, especially with what she said about eating disorders at the beginning. But like, she's kind of knocking it out of the park here. I mean, again, it's nothing groundbreaking for sure. It's, it's all pretty banal. But yeah, I think that as many boundaries as you can put up, like formalized boundaries between your work and your home life is very, very good. Like for me, like I just could not deal with working from home like that's not for me. For me, I've tried it before with past jobs that I've had. And it's like, it very quickly just ends up being like some weird unholy fusion where like your work and your home life are the same and you don't know where one ends and the other begins, and it sucks. So I don't know. Yeah, I'm all for formalizing boundaries between work and your regular time.
All right, we're wrapping up. I don't want to wrap up, but we have to wrap up. If there was a single takeaway, if there was a single thought, idea, question, actionable piece of advice, just one thing that you could leave listeners with, what is that single thing you want to leave with our crew?
Okay. All right. So the biggest lesson for me is thinking about the voice in your head, the person right now that you're just listening to this. What's that voice in your head saying? What's all the negative things that they're telling you can't do? I call that the BITCH in my head. And the biggest lesson was me turning her into my best friend. And what I mean by that is the critic in that head of yours. What if it was your coach? What if you could listen to her or him and take the voice and say, instead of it being detrimental to me, how can I actually use this to empower me? And if you can listen, for me, it was the voice saying, Lisa, don't get in front of the camera. Don't do your show, Women of Impact. You don't know what you're doing. Now, that could have been detrimental to me. That could have held me back. But what I said is, what if it was my best friend? A best friend cares about me, right? A best friend really wants me to do well. A best friend's going to tell me the hard things. All right, bestie, why shouldn't I get in front of the camera? And she said, because you keep messing up. You don't know how to do an introduction. You don't know how to do an outro. And so I listened and I was like, maybe she's right. And by listening, she taught me I needed to be prepared. I needed to have a quote card under the A camera as a backup plan. I needed my safety net. I needed a plan B. And I needed to give my...
Wait, does this mean that I'm the bitch in Dave's life?
So fine. If I can't be the sex symbol, I can definitely be the bitch.
Okay, I mean, maybe if you don't have anxiety, that's useful, but like, if you have anxiety, you can't really just like listen to that voice because it's just that unproductive and unhelpful and irrational. Like that voice is just like, oh, you know, if you go to the store and like you're gonna embarrass yourself, it's gonna be the most, you know, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And like that's it's not a useful critique. Like my inner anxiety voice is not a constructive critic. Like, I don't know. That's all I gotta say.
Oh, good. Also, by the way, one of the roads to confidence is preparation, is thinking through some of those things that are most likely to happen, as in you're not going to be good when you start, and owning it in something that is a reflection of self-awareness, to me, has always been like the invitation to go do it anyway and build some confidence because of being equipped to walk in with a little more awareness of what it was going to be like. Ah, so good.
It must be so nice not having anxiety.
I love you. And thank you so much for showing up as you always do. Like, dude, it's impressive. None of us have easy lives.
Lisa, no, it's not.
But when we go through struggle, I think that the struggle is inevitable for all of us in different ways, shapes, and forms. And I think that a true testament is how we will handle those struggles when they actually happen, and how you fight to show up every day for yourself as well as for others. And I just admire it. I admire the perseverance. I admire that you're willing to show up as you and talk about it and be vulnerable.
What the fuck? That description of Dave is just the most insane thing I've ever heard.
Here, Lisa, you are in good luck, because perfection will never be a part of this.
The fact that you still show up, right? And so do I. And that's like, it's important to really acknowledge, because we do want to get validation from people. We want to get the pat on the back because it feels good, and it's hard.
Dave only knows validation from people.
When we struggle, and I've been through so many things in my own life, and to know to get back up every time is difficult. And I just want to thank you for being a true friend. And
you're so kind. Thank you. I appreciate you. I appreciate the community of friends that we have. I appreciate those words. I said it off. I think I said it off camera before we started, but like, as much as like I wouldn't opt necessarily for struggle, I'm super grateful for where I'm at, and wouldn't necessarily change any of the good that ends up coming out of it, because
Dave, stop fucking lying.
Don't know that I'd be as connected to every single thing that I now understand about myself, and the way that understanding it equips me to better impact people. If I hadn't had to, go through stuff, even the self-inflicted sabotagey kind of ridiculousness, I still find a way to find some kind of gratitude for it, because man, it has just created so much understanding. There's just so much knowing that wouldn't have otherwise.
Dave, what understanding has it created? You still don't understand yourself. You still don't understand what you do. You still don't understand what you're becoming or whatever the hell. So what?
Failed itself. I keep saying, I wish I didn't have to learn the things the hardest freaking way. But guess what? Some of those things are true blessings that my kids would be the beneficiary of me understanding and becoming something different and better from, and everything else. So thank you. I so appreciate it. I so appreciate you. I'm so excited about your book being out. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we have to say goodbye to Lisa Bilyeu, but I hope that you'll check her book. I hope that you'll give her a follow on the social and dive into her YouTube channel, everything else between now and next week. If you like this episode, take a picture of it, tag the both of us on social, and tell every human you've ever met that it was a good thing in your life today. And between now and next week, make a friend with that voice in your head. See if it isn't trying to tell you something about how you can be a little bit more prepared for what you're walking toward, build a little confidence for some part of who you're supposed to be. We will see you next week on this Rise Together podcast. Thanks for tuning in. Thank you, Lisa. I appreciate you.
Thank you. Peace out, guys.
That actually, it wasn't as bad as I thought it was going to be. Although the comment about eating disorders was crazy. And also, I still think it's super weird that she stayed home for 8 years when they didn't even have kids. I don't know. That's so weird to me. I mean, but no judgment if that's what people choose to do, whatever. Just to me, it's kind of baffling, and it makes me wonder, what was the reason for that? Was it him? Was it what he wanted, or what? I don't know. Whatever. All right, everybody. I've been Mac. Peace out. Bye.